Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Look, okay, look,
Good
everybody,
morning.
that's what I
Well,
like to see. That's the energy. You ever seen that movie? What's it called again? Good Morning Vietnam. And he goes on interrupt. All right, I guess I'm too old. Anyways, good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful Tuesday. Everybody should be excited. I'm very, very excited. I have a pleasure of doing training this morning. So make sure, of course, we get our teammates on. Make sure, of course, we get our agents on. Everybody that needs to grow. We're definitely better than 21 people at 9:30. Actually, I think that's a pretty good crowd. I feel famous, right? I mean, that's 21 people, right? So, anyways, really do appreciate you guys being on here today. I got the pleasure of doing training this morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. I'm just gonna talk about a couple of things so we can be able to grow together. And if you can't have your camera on, please have your camera on. Of course, just be interactive. I know more often than not what happens is we like to lay in bed or whatever the case may be. But the truth is, you cannot get ahead laying in bed, right? We got to be able to make sure that we're up and we're at it, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and run through a couple of things, of course, this morning. They wanted me to be able to talk about number one, getting onto a fast start and insurance, whole life insurance, how to break it down, how it does, what it means, and just a couple of those things. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and we're gonna be able to go ahead and talk about the way I get my individuals to a fast start. I'm already at 4 recruits for the month so far. So I just want to be able to show you guys, of course, how to get to a fast start, right? So of course, and I also want, of course, for all the people, of course, for last month who did fantastic, great job. Let's of course make sure that we're striving to do the same thing, right? So of course, whenever I'm getting to a fast start, guys, it's really just a mindset. To be completely honest with you, it's just helping people understand how our business works, right? And our business works exactly like any other business, right? For instance, if somebody has a restaurant, or if somebody has a hair salon, or someone has a real estate brokerage. All right, all of these companies have these three things in common. Number one, of course, they all have employees, right? Every single one of these have either employees, right? So of course, restaurants have employees, hair salons have hairstylists, right? Real estate brokerages have agents, right? So of course, right, Primerica works exactly the exact same way, but I'm going to be able to teach you guys why explaining this, of course, is a lot better to get people going to a fast start. So let's say, of course, I'm sitting down with Natasha, right? Nice to see you, Natasha, by the way, right? And of course, I'm basically, of course, explaining to her, how Primerica works, right? What's the importance of recruiting? Well, think about it like this, right? If you had your own restaurant, right, and this is you, right? So let's say, of course, I got Carl's Cafe, right? Of course, and I put the apostrophe the wrong way. That's funny. So Carl's Cafe, right? And Carl's Cafe, of course, is ran by me. Okay. And of course, I can be able to make, I don't know, let's say I make by myself, I make 10 grand a month. Let's say, of course, I pay 2 grand in expenses. And don't be too specific on the numbers. I'm just giving you guys an idea, right? So I make 10 grand a month, of course. I run the business by myself. I'm the only person working there at Carl's Cafe. And of course, I make all the money, of course, I take home all the money, etc., etc. Right. So of course, if I make 10 grand, right, and of course I gotta pay, 2 grand back into my business, of course I take home 8,000, right? And that's of course on a monthly basis. Now, of course, if I get sick or if I can't work anymore, if my business has a slow month, right? Because of course my productivity is only based on myself, what happens to my income? It goes down, right? So that's why, of course, you see a lot of these self-employed individuals who can't really maintain a life by themselves. So, of course, a lot of restaurant owners, when they first start, they see that they have this issue, or food truck owners, right? They see that this had the issue, right? Where their income will continue to deplete, or, it'll go up and down and it really doesn't stay stagnant. So, how do, of course, you solve that problem? The only way to be able to resolve the problem, to be able to make sure that you can have a consistent income stream, is through this beautiful word right here: recruiting. Okay. Okay, now jobs call it hiring, and the difference between hiring, of course, and recruiting, guys, I usually have that question asked a lot of the time, but the difference between the two, of course, is when somebody hires you, they get to pay you a salary, right? They get to pay you a wage. So they, of course, mark your income off as an expense. So if I'm paying 10 of my employees $15 an hour, right? That's 15 times 10. That's $150 for the day, or excuse me, no, not 100. That's $150, of course, per hour. So, of course, if we do some math, and I have 10 employees working for me, that's 150 times 8. Okay, so that's $1,200. I know I need to mark off as an expense to pay you guys for that day. Okay, so that's, of course, why people hire. Now, of course, with recruiting, the good thing about Primerica, right, and being able to recruit individuals is that you can be able to make as much money as you want. So for instance, right now, Russell, if you wanted to be able to make 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand, brother, as long as you write the business and it gets processed, Primerica is going to cut you that check. Right? Primerica has the money for it. So you guys have to understand that in this business, right? We're at such an advantage that we control our income. Right? I know some jobs don't make you work past 40 hours. Okay? Right? They don't make you work past 40 hours because, of course, they understand the reason why you can't work past 40 hours is because that's not within the budget. See, here in Primerica, there is no budget. Right? Here in this business, right, there is no budget. You can work as much as you like, you can close as much as you like, and you can make as much money as you like, which is why you got people like Willie Naranjo, right, who's recruited a large amount of individuals, and he makes $700,000 for the month. Not for the year, guys. I've like seen it with my own eyes. I'm telling you, Primerica is super transparent. Like if somebody, of course, if Edward were to say, hey, I make $30,000 a month, right? You can literally go online on PL1 and see that he's lying because he actually makes $50,000, $60,000 a month, right? So that's the beauty of our business, right? Of course, that it's a very, very transparent business and you can make money. Okay. So of course, right? So of course, back to what I was saying, right? If Carl, of course, wants to be able to make sure that he can increase his income, I would have to go about recruiting or hiring agents. And that's exactly what restaurants do, right? Have you guys ever seen a McDonald's being ran by one person? Of course not. Is there only ever one person in the McDonald's? Is there only ever one person at Dunkin' Donuts or one person at a Starbucks? Of course not. Because companies understand in order to be able to make sure productivity stays in order, we have to have individuals working with us. Right? Think about it, of course. Even the biggest companies, of course, in the world, the biggest companies in the planet specialize in hiring people. Right? If you look at the people, of course, that make the most money, right? I can guarantee you the two companies that might make the most money in the world will be Amazon and probably something else. But I promise you Amazon's gonna be on there. Let's just look it up. Let's fact check it. Let's see. Which company makes the most money? Let's see. Hopefully I'm right. It'd be pretty embarrassing, right? Hold on. Let's see in the United States, right? In the US. Sweaty. So Walmart, there it is. So perfect, right? So Walmart and Amazon, right? So of course, right? So these two. And of course, let's see which company has the most employees. All right, let's go ahead and see. Right, and it might be Amazon or something like that. It might be Amazon. There, Walmart. So of course, right. So there it is. I put myself, of course, on a limb there because I didn't know. But of course, right, what I'm saying is true. Right, the idea, of course, that if you recruit the most agents, you will make the most money is true. Right, Walmart has the most employees and they make the most money. Right, so of course, the fact here remains: if you want to be able to make the most money, you have to be able to, of course, and Amazon is second. Perfect, right? So of course, my fact remains. So imagine Walmart has 2.3 million employees. That's why, of course, their business makes the most money. So the relation between recruiting and making money is symbiotic almost. Because if you can be able to have employees working with you or working for you, that productivity can increase. And that's exactly how I explained, of course, to my agents. Hey, think about it like this. You can be able to go out and make 4,000, 5,000 a month. However, of course, imagine if you had your own sales force. Imagine, of course, if you had Carl's Cafe with, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, right? 20, 100 people working alongside with you. Imagine how much more money you could make. And the good thing about Primerica and our business is, hey, for example, Natasha, you first come into the business. In order for me to get paid, you got to get paid first. So I want to make you money, right? I want to make you income. You see what I'm saying? I want to be able to show you how to be able to increase your income, of course, because that makes me money. Now, of course, with certain jobs, I mean, they don't necessarily care if you show up or not. They don't really care about you because there really isn't a relationship needed to be built. 9 times out of 10, of course, you came because you were looking for the income. You came, of course, because you were looking to just make ends meet. We're not looking for the people that want to make ends meet. We want to look for the people that want to make astronomical amounts of income. Like, I want ridiculous money. I want to be able to wake up and say, oh, yeah, I make $100,000 a month. That's why I came into the business, right? Because Primerica provides that opportunity for individuals, okay? So it's important, of course, that we see that, right? So, of course, even, of course, restaurants with employees or hairstylists, right? When I'm talking to, and you guys have to know how to relate to, younger and older audiences. So when I'm talking to younger girls, right, or younger individuals, right, I got a district leader on my team, actually a licensed district leader. As of last month, she's doing a great job. Her name is Jessica, and this is how I explain it to her. So let's say, of course, there's a hairstylist, right? So we have a hairstylist right here. She might have this is her, and this is her salon. So let's say her name is Sally, right? So Sally, of course, Sally hair salon, right? Sally, of course, can be able to work by herself, do hair, and she'll make money, right? Because, of course, she knows how to do hair. But how could Sally make sure that she makes money whether she's here or not? Well, she'd have to, of course, find hairstylists to work alongside with her. Now, of course, when these hairstylists go and they make their money, right, of course, they get paid, right? They'll make money. However, of course, how would Sally be able to make sure that she gets compensated? Well, of course, these hairstylists probably rent a chair or they give her a percentage of the sale, whatever the case may be. So every single business focuses in on recruiting. In order for you to be able to make money, of course, in these United States and make money passively, someone has to be doing the work alongside with you, right? Because in our business, no one works for anyone, right? You know, Melinda, when you come into this business, you don't work for me. We work together, right? We're in a business together. We're working together. That's the point of having a business. Every single business, guys, that makes millions of dollars a year focuses in on recruiting individuals and getting them qualified. And in our business, getting someone qualified is getting them the license. Getting the license is so important. Jessica actually got her license in a week and a half, right? So, of course, we have a really good licensing system to be able to get people licensed as fast as possible. So it's important, of course, that you plug people in, right? Have them go to class in person, right? Have them book their test 2 days after the exam, right? And, of course, your people, of course, will only pass as long as they listen to you. That's a guarantee. So for anybody on this call that's not licensed, you're not listening to your upline. And that's the truth. Either that or, of course, you're on the way, which is fantastic. But if you've been here for a while and you're not licensed, you're not listening to the person that brought you into the business. Right? When she came into the business, when Jessica came into the business, I said, hey, we're going to have your class at this date. And if you got work, hey, call off. Right? You know, this is, of course, like I'm showing you, of course, how to make, you know, and Jessica last week made $700 in 2 days. Imagine it takes her a day of work to make a 150, right? You know, or based on, you know, on a regular wage, right? It takes somebody, you know, a day of work to make 150. However, of course, you can be able to work with me and make $700 in 2 days. So you can see this thing works and get them results, right? However, of course, it's important to be able to see that, hey, this is how businesses do things, right? So, of course, a hair salon, they have the same ideology. The reason why you can see a boss hairstylist lady, or she owns a salon, is because she has people working for her or working alongside with her, excuse me, right? And even in real estate, right? So, of course, and I know because I was in real estate, right? So, of course, there's a real estate broker, right? Real estate brokers go out, they go out and do the exact same thing. Okay, so a broker can what? By themselves, they can be able to sell real estate and make about 6%, which is fantastic, right? Broker can go ahead and make 6% or whatever case may be, right? However, of course, if they wanted to be able to make sure they diversify their income, what do they have to do? They have to recruit agents. And I know because once you get that license, you get calls from everybody in the world. Hey, Carl, we just saw you just got your license. Congratulations. Yeah, we want to take you out here and there. They are so, especially young realtors, they're so antsy, right, to be able to get people on the team because they understand how this stuff works. So, of course, right, so they hire sales agents, right? Sales agents, of course, they go out and then, of course, when they sell a house, they'll make 3% on that, right? So 3%, right? So 3%, 3%, right? 3% and 3%. So this is fantastic, right? However, of course, whenever these agents sell this house, they get 3% of whatever they sell. So they sell a house for 100 grand, they make 3,000. However, who does that other 3% go to? The broker. That's how all businesses work, guys. So anybody that has a fear of recruiting or reaching out to individuals or talking to people, understand that if you want to be able to make a successful business, a business that pays you whether you work or not, you have to focus in on the main thing, which is recruiting. You can be the best salesman in the world. However, Melinda, we all get sick. We all break down. We all get tired, right? We're never going to be 100% all the time, right? Our 100%, of course, can't match up to one person's, 100 people's 1%. Right? Because of course, if they're all working together, if they're all working in sync, hey, yeah, we can definitely be able to make sure that everybody is making money in the process. Okay. So that's the point of building a business. So that's how I explain to my recruit to get them to a fast start. So that's why we want to be able to hire people, right? That's why we want to be able to get people on your team because I'm showing you how to build this business. Natasha, yeah, I mean, you might have came into this business to be able to make part-time income, and that's fantastic. You definitely can just get your license and you can make money, but Primerica is a lot bigger than just life insurance, guys. Right? I know people, of course, who've been able to become completely financially independent with Primerica. And just for you guys to know, right? You know, I got my license before I came into the business, my 215 before I came into the business. So I sat down with a bunch of different insurance companies, State Farm, MetLife, Allstate, and none of them all the people that were trying to recruit me were not financially independent. None of them were, for reference. Right? Primerica is the only really company that gives you the opportunity to get financial independence. Now, how do we go about doing that, right? So what differentiates this? What of course makes this different from what we do? Well, number one, of course, in Primerica, you have the opportunity of your upline wants to be able to make sure, excuse me, let me just write that in regular ink, right? So number one, so your upline has interest in you, right? So what does that mean? Well, number one, of course, I know you guys sometimes go to a job, has interest. Apple Pencil's been glitching. Bear with me, guys. Interest. And it's like I gotta write harder. You, right? Perfect, right? So, of course, right? So, your upline has interest in you. The person that brought you into the business has interest in you. So, what does that mean? Well, sometimes when you go to a job and your boss is nasty or is mean or whatever the case may be, and you know, he treats you bad or whatever the case may be, right? And you're like, man, I want to quit this thing. Sometimes when you quit your job, do you think your boss cares? Of course not. When your job lays you off, do you think they care? Absolutely not. However, of course, in Primerica, we want you to be here, right? Because we have interest in you. Understand this, Melinda. When you make money, they pay me. So, and I want you to make income in our business, right? So I have an interest in you, right? I have a direct interest in your success. I want you to succeed here. That's why sometimes when people come into, I never understand when people come to Primerica and they said, "Oh, I don't know if this is for me. I don't see how I can see myself making money here." You got to listen to me so I can show you how to make this money, right? I'm here for you, but I'm here for myself as well. I want to be able to, of course, free my family. I know you want to free your family, so let's work together to make this happen. Okay, so in Primerica, of course, regional vice president, right? Let's say they make 110%. I'm a division leader. Let's say this is Leighton, right? Leighton, right? Right. This is Leighton right here. Okay, Leighton makes 110%. This is Carl. I'm a division manager. Okay, so I make 60%. Okay, so of course, as a division manager, the override that Leighton gets on me is 50%. My commission is 60%. So that means I make more than Leighton on each sale than he does on based on my efforts. Okay, so I make more on each sale. So Leighton still makes 50% of whatever I write. However, I make 60%. I make more, of course, on the sale than he does on me, based on the override. You guys see what I'm saying? So, of course, in this business, you have a direct interest, of course, in the individual that you're bringing into the business. So help people understand that. Hey, in this business, you make more. Like there's regional leaders, guys. The override spread between a regional leader and a regional vice president is 30%, right? Senior regional leaders and vice presidents 20%. So, of course, whenever you guys get promoted, you guys get to district leader and division leader, a senior regional leader, your vice president gets a pay cut, right? And the only reason, of course, a person will be willing to get a pay cut is if they have an interest in you. If I want you to win for real, right? How many jobs do you guys go to where somebody says, "Oh, well, if he gets promoted, you're gonna lose your job," or he gets promoted, you're gonna lose your pay? How many of those jobs do you guys think, hey, you know what, or people do you guys know would be willing to do that for someone? Now, it's not to say, of course, that it cuts into your pay directly, but it does shorten your override, which is okay because the goal, of course, in the business is to create regional vice presidents. So, of course, you still make income. You just got to be able to recruit a lot more, right? You're just going to be able to hire a lot more individuals. And that's, of course, how you be able to increase your income. You guys see what I'm saying? So in this business, it makes sense, right? And of course, right, we want to be able to make sure that we're working together, right? So, of course, in this business, I don't want you to make money, Melinda. I want you to get paid, Eddie, right? So that's the beauty of the business. So it's very, very important to explain it just like that to your agents, right? Give them the example of every single business, right? Employees, where they pay your wage, hairstylists for the younger ladies, agents for freelancing work. So people could be able to understand how the business works and why it does work. Okay. And of course, once they explain this, I mean, it's very easy to get them to a fast start. Okay, well, okay, if all these other businesses, because think about it like this. If I'm sitting down, I'm a regular person, and I look at a building like a building. I look at a business like Walmart, and I see Walmart makes the most money, and I also see that they have the most employees. What does that tell me? What does that tell me I have to do? Go get some people working for you. Go get some employees. Go get some agents, right? If they're doing that and they've been doing it for years, and the Walton family has been financially independent, and for you guys to even think that they're more different than you, or they talk different, or is complete and utter BS. Don't ever fear. Like I remember, I think somebody posted on a story. Fear is not true, right? Fear is the false. It's not true, right? Don't be scared, of course, of thinking that, hey, because these individuals did it or one person did that, you can't do it too. No, all it takes is somebody to believe themselves enough. You definitely can scale your business that big. You just got to believe in yourself, right? That's really what it boils down to. Hey, they believe in themselves more. And the reason why we can be able to see that is because Walmart isn't the only supermarket in the world, or superstore in the world. There's Target, there's Marshalls, there's TJ Maxx, there's Publix for the people down here. I know sometimes you guys may not know about Publix, but we got Publix down here, right? So of course, right? So they got these massive stores. So all of these people started off with a dream, just like you. They started off with a dream. They started their store, right? They got their produce, right? They had to buy products and services, and of course they hired employees and they scaled their business. Primerica, what do? You start your business, you recruit individuals, and you sell insurance, and you scale your business. So it's the exact same thing. The product is just different, and the product is 10 times better. The second point, of course, is that you don't have to buy any inventory, right? With these stores, especially huge stores like Walmart, you guys understand this. Walmart has a section of their store dedicated to returns. It's called customer service. Now, whether or not the customer service is good or not depends on the Walmart you go to, right? However, of course, right, Walmart has a section of their store dedicated for returns because they understand, number one, Some goods and products are not going to be the best, which is why they mark those off as expenses. And number two, you cannot please everyone. Okay? So especially, of course, if you're going through your field training, I don't want you guys to feel like everyone we sit down with, we have to close. When I'm sitting down with my agents, I tell them, hey, look, the whole point of us going on these field training appointments is so that when you're licensed, you can know what to do. The money, of course, is great. Getting agents is great. But the reason why we're training you is so when you get your license, you can know what to do. You can know what to say. You can know how to do an appointment. You can know how to do an IBA application. You can know how to do a life insurance application. The whole point is for you to be able to know what to do, right? Right? Yes, absolutely. Of course, right? So of course, make sure you're saying that, right? Because sometimes people get discouraged when when their mom doesn't answer, or they get on the call with their mom and she doesn't get life insurance. Guys, it's okay. Right? People are going to say no to you in business. If I understand that, right? People say no to everyone in business. There's no businessman. There's no, and if there is a businessman with 100% production rate, then he doesn't sell. Because if you sell one thing one time, if I've sold one thing one time and I say, hey, all of my clients are satisfied, that doesn't necessarily make me a good businessman. You cannot satisfy everyone, guys. And you shouldn't want to satisfy everyone, right? Of course, the goal, yes, of course, is to be able to make sure, hey, all of our people are okay, but at the expense of what? Right? You're going to go over your word or back down your vows or whatever the case may be. You shouldn't. Sometimes, of course, you got to be able to stick to your guns. And that's in a business sense and, of course, in a real life sense. Right? Be a person of great character. Be a person of self-control. Right? When you make your yes be your yes, make your no be your no. Right? So if I say, hey, we offer financial products, we help people with life insurance and investments, and somebody asks me, well, do you sell IULs? And you say yes, hey, you tripping. Right? Hey, we can be able to show you something better than that, right? So don't be somebody that goes back on your word, right? So, of course, right, all these stores get returns, right? These stores, of course, understand they have to have a department, which is why they have a department dedicated to getting returns. But does that stop Walmart from keeping going every single month? Do they say, you know what, hey, man, geez, you know what? We didn't think about people saying no to us. Maybe we should just shut this whole thing down. Maybe it's not a good idea. Of course not. Because they understand that's how business works. That's how business works. You cannot make everyone say yes to you. Right? And we have a product and service right now. We have a product and service right now that's number one, non-perishable, right? Life insurance doesn't expire, doesn't go bad, right? So you have to be able to understand the product and service that you're facilitating for clients is something that they need, right? Nails are subjective, right? You can find a girl that does better nails for cheaper. Yeah, we're not begging over here, right? So nails are subjective, hair is subjective, haircuts are subjective, right? Life insurance shouldn't be. Hey, you have a family. Yes. Do you care about your family? Yes. Do you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to take care of bills and everything if you pass away? No. Okay, great. Let's get life insurance. I'm not going to sit down and try to convince you to get life insurance. I'm going to show you the options. I'm going to tell you why you need it. And if you, I got to convince you to leave money behind for your family next, bro. I'm not doing that. We're not going to be on a call 45 minutes, an hour, me battling for your business. Okay? Because typically what happens is whenever you have to battle for someone's business, you end up losing it anyways. You guys ever heard the term, hey, when two people fight, they both end up losing? That's typically what happens with these clients. I mean, you ever have a call where, it took an hour, 2 hours for you to be able to close, and it's almost like you got to bully them through the close. What ends up happening a month or 2 months or 3 months? Hey, I've been thinking. I'm not trying to hear that, bro. I want clients that understand that we're on the same page. Hey, do you have life insurance? No, fantastic. Okay, no problem. So this is why you need it. This is how we're gonna be able to help you. We're gonna help you with this, help you with that. Does it sound good? Absolutely. Carl, how can I move forward? And that's it. It should be a very, very easy transition on purpose, right? Life insurance, of course, is not something that it should be overcomplicated, right? So, of course, we want to be able to help people understand that, right? Stay, of course, in the warm market. Have people, of course, that talk to you, right? And even in our orientation, of course, we have a list. And I actually want to be able to show you guys that so I can be able to give you an idea of how it looks, right? Even in our orientation, right? We always talk about having people go through their macho, right? Here's the target market that we want to be able to talk to, right? Because I know, of course, that's how you're going to be able to get results. If we talk to people who are married, age 25 to 55, have kids, are homeowners, and have a job, there's a 95% chance they'll say yes. And those are the statistics, right? Those are the statistics. So we talk to people who are married, age 25 to 55, have kids, are homeowners, and have a job. Or let's say, of course, we talk to the, they're age 25 to 55, have kids, are homeowners, and have a job. There's an 81% chance that they'll say yes. So what does that mean? If we do some math, that means out of 10 times, right, we sit down with individuals, out of 10 times, 8 of them will say yes to you. And if we do the math for real, we'll say about 5. Right? Which is still pretty good. Think about it, Melinda. If I tell you, hey, as a district leader, you make $500 per client, right? We do some math. Hey, 500 times 5, that's $2,500. I hope that math is right. I think it is. I think it is. Right. But that's of course that's $2,500, right? That is $2,500, right? So that's $2,500. Melinda, how long? And these are the questions that you want to be asking. Melinda, how long does it take you to make $2,500 at your job? Probably a month, right? So if I'm going to be able to show you how to do this, and remember, right, we want to be able to set appointments for the next 24 to 48 hours. We sit down with these 10 people who are in the macho market, right? We sit down with these 10 people who are in the macho market, and even 5 of them say yes to you. That's $2,500 that you're going to be able to make as a district leader in the business. $2,500, guys. You guys understand this. There are some people, of course, that have to work tooth and nail, guys, to be able to, of course, make $2,500 an hour, right? Just to be, and how long are the presentations, guys? My presentation for life insurance, to be completely honest with you, like when I'm ripping and running, 35, 40 minutes. To be completely honest with you, I feel like being on the call longer than an hour. You know what I mean, like, hey, like 35, 45 minutes. We're good. Y'all can ask Jessica. I mean, I'm very strategic in the way that, because I want to be able to make sure that you understand what I'm telling you. Right? Longer is not always better. Sometimes if you want to call for 2 hours, I know people, guys, and so much, and you know how I know this is true? I know people, of course, just because you sat somewhere for a period of time or you've listened to something for a period of time doesn't mean that you're retaining the information. Because I know people, of course, who've been through 12 years of school who can't solve basic math equations. Now, is there anything inherently wrong with that? No. But of course, I'm making a point. The point here, of course, is just because you want to call longer with somebody doesn't mean you're going to close better. That's not what it means, right? So as long as, of course, you're able to get your point across, that's really all that matters, right? And of course, right, $2,500, right? You can be able to make that kind of money, of course, working with us. And I'm showing you, of course, how to take 5 to 10 hours a week to be able to do that. That's an hour a day, guys. That's an hour a day. So talk to your people like this so they can be able to get to understand this, right? So of course, right, and of course, there are 2 jobs as of right now: set appointments and get your license. So what does that mean? Hey, just put the people in front of me, right? Ebony, I know you've never worked in finances before, and that's okay. That's 100% okay, right? But I want to be able to make sure that you understand I'm in your corner. I'm going to be doing all of the talking for you while you take notes. I'm going to train you and develop you so you can understand this business. That's the kind of language you want to be able to have with your people. Because when they come on a Zoom, when they come on the orientation, they're under the impression that they have to set the appointments, they got to do life insurance calls, they got to talk to people, and that's why they chicken out. But of course, when you set the expectations very clear on the orientation, it makes it a lot easier for them to be able to move forward. Like I had a girl come in here yesterday, Ashley. Once I explained, she's like, "Oh, I thought I had to do." Girl, no, we're not gonna have you do the presentations. And we're not saying that. I'm not saying that, of course, like because I don't believe in her, I don't trust her. But I'm just saying, like, when you start nursing school, or whatever case may be, or when you start any kind of school, you have an instructor that's gonna help you, right? Every single business has an instructor that's gonna help you. So you got to be able to have the same kind of mindset in this business. Of course, I'm going to do the presentations for you. Your job is to get better. You just started this thing. It would make no sense for me to have you go on a call with your mom and tell her, "Hey, mom, look, I'm selling life insurance. These are the products and services that makes no sense, right? I got to be able to show you how to do it, right? I got to be able to help you, right? So, of course, your job is to set the appointments and get the license. And, of course, right, we have we have an inventory list. Guys, pack this out. So here's what I say to my people. Hey, so you remember, of course, earlier I told you our focus are people who are single with children or married with children. And this is the exact verb terminology that I'll use because, KTs, we book a lot of KTs in our base shop, right? So, of course, this is what we'll say. We'll say, hey, so, of course, you remember our focus are people who are single with children or married with children. Right? Fantastic. Great. No problem. So, of course, and the reason why we want to be able to talk to them and to reach out to people that you already know is because it makes business actually, I do this. So, single children, married with children. Now, think about it like this, Ebony. If you were to open your own restaurant, who would you reach out to first? Complete strangers first or family and friends first? And Ebony would say, oh, well, family and friends. That makes the most sense, right? Because they know you, they care about you, etc., etc. Perfect. No problem. So, Ms. Ebony, when you think of people who are single with kids, married with kids, first person that would typically come to mind is mom, correct? And she said yes. Now, guys, notice how I didn't say, hey, when you think of somebody who's single with kids, married with kids, who comes to mind? Because they're finna give you anybody. I'm not trying to just talk to anybody. Now, although anybody's okay, right? We want to be able to make this is your business. Don't let anybody come into your business, teach you how to run. Hey, I want to be able to sit down with mom first. Mom first. Okay, fantastic. So now we write mom's name. Okay, great. So mom's name is Sally. Okay, perfect. What's mom's number? Great. Boom. All right, perfect. Fast. Perfect. And then she's married. Boom. All right. And okay, perfect. No problem. And let's say she has a stepdad. Okay, no problem. Stepdad. Is he married? Now he's single or whatever case may be. Right? Phone number. Boom. And then of course the verbiage goes like this. Hey, do you have any aunties with kids? Right? Because you remember, we want to be able to talk to people who are single with kids, married with kids. Hey, so do you have any aunties with kids? Right? Okay, perfect. No problem. We got aunties with kids. Okay, no problem. How many aunties you got? I got 5 of them. Whatever. Boom. So then of course you fill the list. You fill the list. Right? And of course, whenever you hear that, oh well, I don't really talk to my family. I don't really. It's one of two things. Number one, the credibility either blows, and I'm being completely honest, right? The credibility either blows, right? Or you got to be able to find different ways to be able to find the people, right? So another way, of course, to be able to go through it is, hey, go through that contact list, go through that text message threads, right? And guys, the right people will appear, because sometimes you have people, I have nobody in my contact. That's not true. You do not have a phone for no reason. You call people, and you got them in your contacts. So like, and we're not five. Like, we're not gonna like, hey, do you want to make money or not? Like, that's what I tell them. Like, you're not gonna come on my Zoom being scary. Like, come on, like, you want to do this or no, guys? Because remember, this is a business. You don't go at your job when you go to Planet Fitness and they say, hey, give us 5 referrals and we give you a free candy bar. Do you say, oh well, I don't really have anybody in my contact? What? No, you give them the free. Exactly. So you do that for candy bar, Planet Fitness, but not for financial independence. That's crazy. Right? So we got to be able to make sure that these people understand this. So then boom, right? So now you run through the aunties, right? Be able to get the uncles, the sisters, the cousins, the brothers with kids. So now, of course, you got a list of 10 names, 10 numbers already. Okay, who else do you know? And they, of course, give you the other people that you know. I ask, hey, do you have any godmothers with kids, godfathers with kids, cousins with kids, right? Sisters, second cousins. Go down the line, because we want to be able to talk to everybody. Why? Because, of course, number one, you're going to learn. That's number one, right? The more people we talk to, the better for you, because you're going to see the presentation a bunch of times. You're going to be able to learn the business, learn the presentation. Number two, of course, we're going to be able to help these individuals. Imagine, guys, I know people, of course, who oh yeah, my mom's straight, my dad's straight. I sit down with their mom, I sit down with their dad. They're not straight. In fact, they're crooked. Right? So, of course, right, I want to be able to make sure I can straighten them out. I want to be able to make sure they have the right kind of plans, the right kind of insurance. Like, I'm talking about sitting down with moms. They have IUL policies. They have whole life policies. They have, and they're like 19 different insurance policies. Oh, I pay $1,000 a month for life insurance. And they say that's so proud. $1,000 a month for life insurance. You got $500,000 in total combined coverage. What are you doing? Right? So now, of course, when I help them cut down expenses drastically, oh my God, Carl, you're a hero. You was just scared to call your mama though. Exactly, right? So of course, let's make sure that we get these people to see the value of what it is that we do, right? Get them to understand the value of what it is that we do. And even if that takes, hey, explaining to them how our life insurance works, then that's fine. I mean, sometimes, of course, I break it down for, my agents, of course, who are little, they need a lot more nursing and explaining. Hey, I'll break it down. So for instance, right, I'll get them a quote from USAA. I say, hey, look, $300,000, of course, for a male who's 35 years old is about $266. Primerica, they give the person the same policy for $46. And whatever that difference is between 266 and 46, we'll invest that, of course, into a mutual fund. That guy will have $1 million by the time he retires. Do you see how Primerica life insurance works a lot better? Yes. Fantastic. So then we move forward. Because sometimes you got to be able to understand that, right? Some people, of course, think that we're just selling life insurance just to sell life insurance. No, it's a financial game plan. We're insuring people, of course, for when they need insuring and giving them money when they retire, because everybody's going to retire. And everybody, of course, needs money. So, of course, be able to have a financial game plan instead of spending that kind of money. We can show you how to invest the difference, right? So it's important, of course, that people understand that. So, of course, you get all the phone numbers, fantastic. And then, of course, you have them read a script. So, and here's what I say to them, right? Because you got to be able to know how to use your words. Because if you say, okay, now I'm going to have you read a script so you can be able to call your friends and family, they're going to get scared. So this is what you say. Okay, no problem. So fantastic, Melinda. This is a fantastic list. You did fantastic, right? So now, of course, I don't want you to worry about, okay, how I'm going to call these people, right? Don't worry. We actually have a script that you could just be able to read. That makes it a lot easier for her to receive the message. Oh, okay, no problem. So, I mean, just got to read this and call these people. Okay, no problem. Perfect. So then, boom. So she reads it. I tell her to read it in her head. Fantastic. So we role play back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then, of course, from that point, I read the objections to her. We go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Fantastic. And then, of course, she calls the individuals. She books the appointments. And it's just that simple, guys. Now, of course, if you've been on one orientation all month and somebody said they don't want to do the business, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that you're not building your business enough. You're not recruiting enough. You got to be able to get on more orientations. You got to be on more appointments, right? Being busy is a good thing, guys. When you don't know, hey, how I'm going to do this appointment, that's a good thing, right? It's very, very good to be able to have that kind of quote unquote problem in your business. So we got to be able to help people understand that, hey, if you want to get to the next level, right? If you want to be able to, you got to stay busy. If you're at the office, there should be no reason why you're not even making an appointment or booking an appointment or sending a call or making a call, right? You have to constantly be on top of it. And that's the only way you're going to be able to grow. You want to make $1 million business, but you taking breaks, you going to Chick-fil-A, you going to, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Like you gotta, and if you need a reminder, to look at your mom, she's still working, right? I mean, or that's my reminder every day. Every day I start laying back or a little bit, hey, mom's still at work. You got to retire mom. And it's not to say that it's my obligation to retire my mom, but that's, of course, what I want to do for her. Now, everybody else has their own vision. Everybody else has their own why, and that's okay, but that's mine. So whenever I start slacking off, I think about that. Hey, I want to be able to make sure my mom never has to work ever again, because I saw her work for her, basically since the day I've been born. I want to make sure by the time I become financially independent, she never has to worry about that ever again. That's my gift to my mom. That's the reason why I'm in the office every single day at 8 o'clock. That's the reason why I leave every single day at 9 p.m. because that's what I want. That's the vision for me. Now, of course, if you got to find your why, you got to be able to find your reason to keep getting to work, to keep making it happen, to get these licenses, to keep pushing through adversity and vitriol and criticism, right? You got to be able to make sure that your peoples never have to worry about money again, right? So, of course, right, this stuff takes time to develop. This steps take time to learn. And, of course, the moment you sit down and learn it and help people understand it, getting to a fast start is going to be the most effective thing for them. That's when your business will take off. Every single person I know in Primerica focuses in on, or every single person, excuse me, that succeeds in Primerica, I know focuses in on getting people to a fast start. And you'll see the verbiage, the terminology is different, right? But they'll talk about sprinting the district or getting sprint districts or getting people to a fast district, right? So the same thing, right? Same idea, right? But it's just in a matter, of course, of getting your agents to a fast start. People like to see results fast. We live in a very microwave, click, link, push to start kind of society. So you got to be able to emulate, of course. Now, a lot of individuals don't understand that, hey, in order for things to build, they got to take time. But the good thing about Primerica is you can at least get somebody to a fast start so they can see the vision of the business. Because the whole point is for them to be able to see the vision of the business. If I get Eddie into the business, right, and I'm telling him, yeah, brother, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, brother, you'll be financially independent. That's very, very vague. Eddie was just trying to make an extra $1,000 a month. So sometimes we could sell the dream, yes, and that's fantastic because of course you got to sell the dream, but you got to be able to sell the dream the right way, right? So when I'm prospecting Eddie, do you think I'm saying, hey Eddie, brother, are you interested in making your family completely financially independent in the next 30 years? What sounds better? Hey, or Eddie, hey brother, I'm expanding my office. We're looking for some people right now. We're trying to make an extra 2,500, 5,000 a month. Would you be interested in having a conversation with me? That sounds a lot more interesting. Right? So we got to be able to make sure that we're selling the same goal, selling the same vision, and that's how your business will expand, right? And of course, I also wanted to be able to talk about, of course, I think Yane really does a really great job at breaking this down, because I've seen it time and time again. But just to be able to compare our insurance products, right? So why, of course, we do buy term invested difference versus cash value insurance, right? So I'm gonna be able to show you guys, of course, a little bit about how that looks, right? So you guys can have an idea, because sometimes I break it down. I break it down like this, or you guys know I love drawing. I'll pull out a whiteboard so fast and I'll start drawing for my clients, right? And I give them little graphics. But of course, this is a great way to understand, of course, the competition and of course what we provide. Okay, so why buy term and invest the difference, right? So of course, right, number one, I'm sure you guys understand most insurance out there is insurance and savings, right? And that's either, and we offer, of course, insurance and savings. So there's insurance in savings, right? So you know how like some people say like mac and cheese, right? And there's macaroni and cheese, right? So we the macaroni and cheese, right? We're not the mac and cheese, right? So there's insurance and savings, and there's insurance and savings, right? Perfect, right? So exactly. So I'm gonna explain to you guys the difference. So of course, this savings component, of course, in of itself is called cash value. Okay, and of course, cash value, of course, and insurance, of course, is just insurance, just term insurance. So cash value, of course, is a component of whole life insurance, universal life insurance, variable life insurance, and of course, let's say we have Bob, right? Actually, let's call him. Let's call him. Let's not. Let's call him Nelson, right? I hope Nelson's in there, man. If you there was good, bro. So yeah, so let's say we got Nelson, right? Nelson, of course, is spending $100 a month, right? And he has $100,000 in his policy, right? Part of it goes towards his premium, the other part goes towards his cash value. Okay. So of course, the reason why we tell Nelson, hey, you could be doing a lot better. How could you be doing a lot better? Let's explain it to you. Nelson, of course, there is no problem, of course, with your insurance. It's solely insurance. However, the cash value, of course, here is the issue. Okay. Number one, of course, with your cash value, right, in the first 1 to 3 years, you have no savings. Right? Little to no savings, right? So it's very, very important to be able to help people understand that. And another thing that I like to be able to do is I like to be able to give examples, right? So for example, Nelson, I had a policy that I did for one of my clients way back when, and I wanted to be able to make sure that everything that I was telling her was completely accurate. So I looked at it myself, and as you guys can see, in the first 1 to 3 years, right, she has little to no savings. Imagine she put 12,000, and in the third year she has what, $2,600. Imagine you put $12,000 into your policy and they only give you the option to borrow $2,600. In the first year, have $0. Second year, you could borrow $42. What you gonna use for $42? Probably a combo B at Crafty Crab. I ain't gonna lie, right? But it's very, very important to understand it, right? But now combo B that's the Dungeness crab, guys, but no sausage. Feel me? But I'm playing, right? So back to this, right? So of course, right? So first 1 to 3 years, there's no savings, right? And of course, the second thing is, hey, there's 1 to 4% growth. So what does that mean? Well, Nelson, hey, have you ever heard of the rule of 72? Right? Hey, what does the rule of 72 say? Well, it basically shows you how long it's going to take your money to double. So for instance, Nelson, let's say, of course, you had an investment account with 10 grand in, okay? And of course, let's say the interest on here was 4%. Okay, well, if we divide 72 divided by 4, right? 72 divided by 4, right? I'm doing the math in my head, y'all. I'm totally not using a calculator, right? 72 divided by 4 is 18. So that means it's going to take 18 years for your 10,000, Nelson, to turn into 20,000. Now, Nelson, you 35 years old, right? In the next 18 years, brother, you're going to be, I'm doing it in my head, guys. Hold on. Now, 53, right? You're going to be 53 years old. And of course, right? So when that 10,000 turns into 20,000, Nelson, you're going to be 53 years old. And Nelson, for that 20,000 to turn into 40,000, Nelson, next time you're going to be 71 years old. Does that sound like a really good investment to you? Does that sound like being your own bank? Of course not, right? So of course, that's what we want to be able to avoid, Nelson. And of course, the other thing is, of course, that money that's growing into that account that you're chipping into every single month, brother, you have to borrow that. You have to borrow it, man. Yes, brother, you have to borrow. So imagine, hey, you put 10 grand to this account over a course of years. And in order to be able to take out this money, to be able to take it out, you have to, number one, loan it, right? Loan it from insurance company, right? Insurance company, and pay them back with interest. So that means, brother, if you take out, for example, you have 10,000 in your cash value, let's say you take out 5, right? They're expecting this 5,000 back to them plus interest. So you might have to be able to pay back 5, let's say 525, right? So at that point, brother, you losing money. Because if I put 10,000 into my money, you guys are telling me I have to loan this money and pay it back to you guys with interest, I'm losing money at this point. Make sense? And of course, the fourth thing, Mr. Nelson, is, hey, in the event, of course, of you passing away, the company actually most cases keeps the cash value. Unless you're paying for some insane universal life option B, which is a lot more expensive, and you could have been doing a lot better things with your money anyways, right? So, hey, and the company keeps the money. So, for instance, Nelson, let's say you got 100,000, of course, in life insurance. Let's say your 50,000, of course, goes to cash value. This isn't accurate. I'm just using numbers, right? However, you expect your family, of course, to receive 150,000, right? And he'll say, right. Well, however, Nelson, this money actually only goes this money goes back to your insurance company. So it does not go to you, of course, when you pass away. And it's just a simple Google search. So then I'll look it up with Nelson, right? And these are things, of course, that you can be able to do on your presentation, right? So I'll tell, hey, Nelson, hey, look up what happens to my cash value when I die, right? And of course, Nelson will look it up. He'll see, hey, boom, what happens to cash value? Generally, when you die, the insurance company pays out the death benefit to your beneficiaries according to the Department of Insurance. The cash value component, which is a feature of permanent insurance policies like whole life or universal life, is typically retained by the insurer. So Nelson, of course, that's the plan that you have right now. Now, let me show you, of course, how you can do better, right? So, of course, what we say is, hey, we're going to be able to show you how to buy, term, and invest the difference. Considering you're 30 years old right now, brother, right? You're 30 years old right now. We're going to be able to take that same $100, and we'll give you, of course, double the coverage. For the same $100, brother, we're going to give you $250. So you had 100,000, right? And now you're going to have double the coverage, almost triple the coverage, brother, for the same money, right? And of course, with the other remainder, we're going to be able to separate that, of course, and we're going to be able to put it into something called mutual funds. Now, Nelson, you're probably wondering why mutual funds. Well, number one, of course, your money starts to grow immediately. So there isn't a waiting period, of course, right? Your money starts to grow immediately. You put money in there and it grows with market, right? Second thing, of course, it grows at a 9% or higher, right? 9% or higher. The third thing, hey, take it. It's yours. It's your money, right? That's your money, brother. So that money, of course, that's growing into that account, brother, you can be able to utilize it, right? And of course, the fourth thing, of course, if you pass away, your family gets to keep the money. Okay, so that's, of course, our game plan for you. So imagine, right? You ask Nelson, so which plan sounds better, brother? Plan A or plan B? And of course, he's going to say plan B. And then from that point, guys, with a simple education, it's just a matter of showing him, hey, how this policy works and how we're going to be able to put this in place. So that's the beauty of the business, right? That's the beauty of Primerica. You can be able to help people, of course, use the same money, get more coverage, and of course, get them to invest the rest. So for instance, I mean, imagine right now, right? Let's say even if Nelson decided, because he could probably, considering you're 30 years old, I mean, a quote for 30 years old for $250 is definitely not $100 in our business. It's a lot less than that. So let's say, of course, it was half. Let's say even if it was half, Nelson, right? Compound calculator. Imagine you started off, of course, paying $100 for 100,000, brother. Look, so let's say you put $50 a month $50 a month, and you contribute $50. Now I'm making a point here, right? Let's say, of course, he does this for 35 years. Let's say it's even 9%. Nelson, remember your life insurance when you first started at 30 years old was 100,000, brother. With us, we're gonna give you 100,000, 100,447. Now this is just to make a point that Nelson, would you rather have in the next 35 years, would you rather have 100 grand in life insurance that in the next 30 years is going to deplete with inflation? Or would you rather have $100,000 cash in the next 35 years? The answer is clear, guys. The answer is clear, right? Now, this is assuming that he's only doing $50 a month, right? This is based on the assumption that he's only doing $50 a month. Now, of course, there are individuals who spend like I know people that, of course, that spend so much money on their whole life insurance, so much money, of course, on their universal life policies that, I mean, think about it like this, if somebody set up a financial game plan for you and they're saying, hey, you need financial discipline to be able to make sure that this plan stays in force or it needs constant restructuring, whatever the case may be. Well, imagine, of course, if you could do the things the right way. Imagine how much money you would have. Like if I had a lady, of course, I was sitting down with a lady who was spending $1,000 a month for life insurance. I think this we got her the same policy for $250. So that means, of course, she'd have $750, of course, here. And of course, if you're already used to spending $1,000 a month, let me show you a good game plan. We do that course, let's actually say like 500. Actually, let's say like 400, right? We got to make sure that we're within the lane, right? So of course, we do that for 35 years at a 9%, right? You're gonna have $1 million by the time you retire. There are the numbers, right? So of course, right, the way that we do things, the system is very, very simple on purpose. Very, very simple on purpose. We want to be able to show people, hey, you can be able to get to where you need to be going as long as you do the right things, right? Because in the next 30 years with that company, all you're going to have is a life insurance policy that decreases with inflation, right? So and the reason why I say it's decreasing in inflation is because remember, life insurance is a stated death benefit, right? So of course, the death benefit that they're giving you, this 250 that you see right here, is not going to be $250,000 worth in coverage in the next, excuse me, this 100,000, my fault, because I can't use Primerica's life insurance to say that, because Primerica we have annual increasing benefit rider, so we have air in our policies to be able to combat that. So we give you the opportunity to hedge inflation, right? We're going to be able to give you a percentage increase on your policies. So you guys see how many benefits, of course, we have in our policies in of themselves. We do that on purpose. So our clients, of course, understand, hey, you can be able to make sure that your life insurance policy can keep up with inflation up until the time that you need it. Right? So it's just those little things, guys. You just got to be able to be willing to show the little things to your clients, right? So of course, that's how you be able to explain that to them. And then from that point is, hey, of course, I've been able to show you, hey, our policy and how they work. We can be able to run through an application, take about 15 minutes and get it going. And that's literally what I say, guys. Because you start dancing around the clothes. Hey, so do you think we can maybe, no chance. Maybe, no chance. You talk to me, you say maybe, you're not getting nothing. You're not closing me, right? So you have to be a bold closer. Be very, 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 very bold when you're closing. Now, it's not to say be disrespectful. That's not what I said, but be bold. Hey, so what we can do now, of course, considering you understand what's best for you, right? We can be able to take out 15 minutes, run through a plan, get your plan in action. We can be able to get you covered and be able to make sure we can solve this problem. Can we take about 15 minutes? Sounds good? Perfect. Right? You want to be able to work with confident people, and you want to be able to teach your agents that kind of confidence as well, because it's important for them to be able to learn that and, of course, implement that, of course, into their business. So that's why, of course, we go about doing those things, because, of course, it makes it a lot easier for your clients to learn the business. Okay? So, of course, and the last thing, of course, Lane wanted me to go over, of course, is recruiting. So I'm giving you guys a little bit of everything today, because, I think, of course, everything, of course, is important. I mean, there's so many things to learn about in Primerica, but it's just a matter of getting the stuff done, right? So getting the stuff done, of course, is very, very important, right? And I wanted to just be able to go over, of course, this page right here, because it talks about what I was talking about earlier, right? Hey, working as a team, guys, working as a team increases your odds. Okay? Working together in anything increases your odds, right? I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie 300, right? Lane uses this example all the time. In the movie 300, of course, the Spartans did not win that battle. The Romans did. Not because the Romans were better soldiers. I mean, Spartans, of course, are known to be incredibly, massive gladiators, right? But they didn't win because they didn't have the numbers. So working as a team, working together increases your odds. Hey, you go with a trainer and take somebody along to train. That's so huge. When you're doing field training appointments, guys, do not ever let a field training appointment go by yourself. Like that's a waste of time. Now you might close, but however, you didn't develop an agent. Your agent didn't see how it worked. The agent, and always ask your agent, hey, did you see, of course, how I said this? What did you get from this presentation? Did you see, of course, how I said this? How I got referrals for you at the end of the call, so your business doesn't stop? Did you see I asked them how to repost on social media, so your business doesn't stop? Because of course, if you get off a call, you just get a life insurance policy, and you don't get any referrals, you don't get anybody to repost for you, you don't get any names, any numbers. You're back to square one again. And now you got to do the exact same thing tomorrow. You got to hunt tomorrow, right? So it's important, of course, that we help them understand that, right? Going with a trainer. Hey, there's strength in numbers, right? Loners usually lose, and that's so true. Being by yourself is the easiest way to make sure that you lose. Anybody that says they're a self-made millionaire is either number one lying, or they have very poor leadership, but they don't make money, right? We need people. That's how people make money together. You need individuals, right? Become a great follower so you can become a great leader. That's so true. All right, so many people want to be able to take a leadership role so fast that they don't understand. In order to be the best leader, you have to be the best follower first, right? Right? Use the most powerful leaders and highest earners to help you recruit. That's so true. There's an audio, of course, by Keith Otto. He talks about recruiting, right? The power of recruiting and how he's been able to, build his business. Or you can listen to Hector Lamarck. Listen to whoever you like to, but just of course find someone or talk to your upline and find someone, of course, who inspires you, right, to be able to get into that recruiting groove. Because making money is fantastic, but again, we came here to be able to make money together. The strong system is people helping people. That's so true, right? Once, of course, you understand that, you'll be able to succeed in our business. And guys, hey, it takes quantity to find quality, right? You want stars, but you have to sort through the numbers to find them. That's so true. It's like digging for gold. Anybody, of course, who's ever dug for gold, or I mean, I haven't dug for gold. I don't think there's anyone that's on this call that's dug for gold before. But anyways, I'm sure you guys remember from the movies and things like that. When these guys are panhandling or things like that, they have to sort through a lot of dirt to get a little bit of gold. That's how recruiting works. You got to go through a lot of dirt to get through a little bit of gold. However, what separates, of course, good people, the people that make the most, that get the most gold, and the people get the least? The effectiveness at which they're searching. Sometimes you guys do one appointment a day, you do 2 appointments a day. Oh man, this thing doesn't work. And then we got Russell. He's doing 8 appointments a day, 10 appointments a day. He's getting superstar left and right. You're like, damn, Russell, how are you doing this? Russell is looking more effectively. That's all. When they're looking for one criminal, guys, when somebody's on first 48, do they send a couple guard dogs and no, they send the FBI. They send the National Guard after this person because they need to find him. So if you need to find someone, if you're looking for someone, you have to search in numbers. You're looking by yourself, you're not going to find them. Right? That's why they have search parties, right? When they're looking for somebody that's got kidnapped, they get everybody on the tail, right? Because they want to be able to make sure they can find them, right? So hey guys, remember this: recruit 1 and you'll be the best of 1. Recruit 10 and you'll be the best of 10. Recruit 100 and you'll be the best of 100. And your best will be the 100, excuse me. Right? So your best, of course, will be 1 if you recruit 1. Your best of 10 will be 10 if you recruit 10, and your best of 100 will be 100 if you recruit 100. The law of averages only works when you activate it with the law of high numbers. That's so true, right? It only works when you activate it. You got to be able to make sure, of course, that when you got to use numbers to your advantage, guys, right? And luck is built. I want you guys to understand that. If you guys don't understand anything else, understand this: luck is built. Okay, people don't just get lucky, right? They just happen to have planned the right way to be able to get the luck that they wanted. So for instance, right, the only reason why, Michael Jordan, right, gets a lot of game winners, right? He's known for because he's missed 6,000 of them, right? Now, do we remember all the game winners he missed? Of course not. But because he was willing to take the shots, that's why he made them. You got to be willing to shoot, guys. Shoot, right? And that's with everything. So go on those appointments, right? Recruit that agent. Talk to that person. Prospect that person, right? Because shoot. Hey, go back to the principle, right? Man in the masses. Right? Man as an individual is totally unpredictable, but man in the masses is totally predictable. That's very true. Right? If you watch a team of individuals if you look at one person walking one way, it's very hard to predict where he'll move next because it's only one man. He can move in a zigzag, etc., etc. But of course, if we have a group of individuals moving together as a herd, it's very predictable where they go next because they're a lot bigger. So if they move to the left, then they'll all move to the left. If they move to the right, then they'll all move to the right. Right? So it's very, very important to be able to understand that, right? Hey, the best way to find a new recruit is to train a current recruit. That's so huge, right? Sometimes we so busy, of course, into getting personal business, and it's huge. It's so important to get wide, guys. Do not mistake me for don't think I'm not saying get wide. Every single $1 million in this business says their biggest mistake. Hey, I didn't get wide enough. Keith out on himself. I remember I had a discussion with him because he comes to our office. Because this is actually one of his offices, actually, right? But so he told me, hey, you know, one of the biggest mistakes is hey, I didn't get wide enough. And imagine Keith Otto makes $5 million a year in Primerica. I mean, he $100 million saved. He's liquid cash. Probably one of the coolest guys I know. And he said, I didn't get wide enough. Right? So getting wide is important. You got to be able to make sure, hey, that you of course go out and you find your own people that are direct to you. However, remember, you're building a business for longevity. So you got to be able to make sure that you build through your people as well. Okay? Don't just recruit people just to say, hey, I'm recruiting people. Right? Recruit people with purpose. I want to be able to make sure, hey, when I get these agents, okay, cool. I got these agents. Let's work together so we can be able to get you a business. Now, I'm still going to be able to build me a business, but of course, in order for me to build my business, I got to build you a business. Right? Use the tag team approach. They find them, you do the talking. Or how I like to say, you catch them, I cook them. Right? Every time me and my every time I have an agent that closes with me, I send them a picture of LeBron Duncan and D Wade with his arms open. Right? That's what I do, right? Because you got to keep it fun. Right? Help your recruits know that you're in their corner. You want to help them. Hey, everyone knows someone. Even a dud knows a stud. The easiest person to talk to is a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend. That's very true. Right? And that's the importance of getting referrals. So even after every call, guys, and it's important that there are some things that you just have to be disciplined enough to do. Whether the call went good or whether the call went bad or whether, of course, you're scared, you always have to be able to ask for referrals. Hey, I'm sure you'd agree, of course, this presentation was fantastic. You know, Samantha's business is still expanding. You know, we are looking for more people. Do you mind leaving just a couple of names and numbers, of course, for Samantha, just so she can continue to expand? And it's just that simple, guys. Be straightforward. Hey, do you think you could probably leave because that gives them the way to say no. I'm very straightforward. Hey, you know, Samantha's business is expanding. You know, she's looking for some more people right now who are trying to also, you know, get involved into what it is that we're doing. Could you possibly leave 3 to 5 names and numbers for Samantha? Be very, because 1, 2, I'm not trying to hear that, but we need 3. Because if you're gonna say no to me, I need 5 people that will probably say yes. Rapido for my Spanish people, right? So it's very, very important, right, that we're able to get referrals, right? So talk to a friend or a friend of a friend. The second best source for recruiting is a client. That's very true. Right, I had a client of mine, right? You know, I had a client of mine, of course, come into the business actually pretty recently. You know, she's studying to get her license and everything like that. I say, look, you know, Miss Adams, you know, we can be able to, of course, show you how to be able to make money here. I know, of course, I helped you with the life insurance. You're very happy, but you know, how about giving the business a shot? You know, you could be able to make, you know, an extra $1,000 a week. I mean, if I could show you how to be able to do that, would you at least try? Yeah, Carl, I'll give it a try. Yeah, of course, getting her license in class, right? So we're moving. Right. And it's very, very important to keep it going because, of course, whenever you're able to see your clients, because your clients already believe in what it is that we do. Hell, they have your insurance. Right. So it's important, of course, that we're able to do that. Hey, the third best source is a referral from a client. Very true. Always get referrals from your clients. Hey, I'm sure you'd agree, of course, what we did for you was magnificent. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to service you as your insurance agent. Is there anyone else, of course, that you know I can be able to sit down with that, you know, might do life insurance? Would you mind leaving 3 and 5 names and numbers for, field training? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know Auntie Carla, and then of course and then just call them. So your business never runs out because you're so happy you jumping up in the air. Oh my God, I closed. Oh my God, first policy. That's fantastic. That's great. And we love to celebrate the small ones because it's very, very important. Do not be the kind of person that when your new agent closes, okay, what's next? Who's next? That is such a turnoff. In fact, that's one of the biggest turnoffs because it's like, okay, now it's just like, hey, you know, this is my first time doing something new, and now it's okay, who's next? Celebrate the small wins. Have your people understand that you care about them, about their success. Okay? That's, of course, how you have people. That's how you retain people. That's how you have people stick with you. Right? And then, of course, okay, fantastic. Did we get referrals? Hey, and then, okay, let's keep the business going. Let's keep it growing. Let's keep going. Right? Speak encouragingly, right? You know, these people, of course, like, again, like I said at the start, right? Nobody works for you in this business. You guys work together. The fourth best, of course, is to retrain one of your vetting salespeople to help them get restarted. Right. So of course, for new people, of course, that you know weren't Primerica before, could have killed it. Yeah, talk to them. You know, I always talk to my old people, you know, on a current basis, bro. You could have been really, really good, bro. It's never too late, bro. You know, let's get the thing back going, right? Let's get your ball back rolling, bro. Let's of course see how we can be able to help people get into the business and make this thing happen, right? The worst way, of course, to recruit is cold calling. Cold calling creates the worst ratios, the most negativity, and low percentages. So for individuals that just want to call anybody, this is for you, right? And of course, guys, it's just a matter of breaking these things down, right? And remember, guys, a recruit is not a recruit until they get a recruit. Getting a recruit activates a buddy system. Now they are starting alone. 80% will do one thing and quit unless that one thing is get a recruit. Having a buddy gives them confidence and starts their own team. It activates the greed button. They won't quit and leave a recruit behind. It gets them going. The first recruit is the hardest, and it protects you in case they decide to quit or won't work. You still have someone to work with, guys. Remember, although of course we're in the business of helping people make money, guys, you got to be able to care about yourself first. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, guys. All right. You got to be able to remember, you're in this business to be able to be financially independent for yourself. Everybody, of course, is in business to be financially independent for themselves. So in order to be able to do that, we have to be able to make sure that number one, we're recruiting, right? And we're recruiting massively. We're also, of course, focusing on people, of course, getting their license and getting trained. And of course, we're showing the clients the value in what it is that we're doing, and of course, showing them, of course, the importance of getting insurance and investing in difference. But of course, guys, that's my time. It's 10:30. Let's have a good day today, guys. Let's of course set appointments, and if you don't have appointments, set them. Let's do our appointments. Let's talk them out. You guys are the best. Stay blessed and have a fantastic, great day, guys. Have a good one. Take care.
Let's go home.